um,
Twitter?
not Twitter, but Facebook, and also through my website. You can, at AphroditeJones.com, you can link in and see those videos. You can see these people in their rebuttal tape, and also lying to that camera where they're saying, we love Michael, and later you hear them on the stand saying, we know that they went on the stand to say he was keeping us captive, he was kidnapping us, and we were held captive. And that's, you look back at it, I did, and realize Michael was holding them captive, but yet Janet Arvizo was using his limousine, his Rolls Royce, to have her taken back and forth to Los Angeles from Santa Barbara and going back there. If she was a captive, why was she going back there?
And why was she getting her nails done, supposedly?
Exactly. She didn't even just get her nails done. She got a full body wax, which we all thought was hilariously funny. But when you look back at it, you realize this woman was taking advantage of Jackson in every way, shape, and form during the time period that she claims her child was being molested. But only did she claim that, again, after the Bashir documentary aired. So during the time that they were actually around Michael Jackson, all she did was take whatever money she could, rang up every bill she could, took her kids to get dental work on Jackson's tab, took herself to beauty parlors and waxing and you name it. And this was a ride for them on private jets and whatever they could get out of Michael Jackson. That's what they were there for. And it was so clear when you started to look at the evidence.
Oh, horribly clear. Do you know anything about the J.C. Penney story?
Of course. The J.C. Penney story came into trial because it was used by Mesereau to show that these people had a pattern of, and the children had been coached to lie for the sake of gaining money. And in the case of J.C. Penney, it was Gavin Arvizo, the accuser, who stole a shirt from Penney's, and the J.C. Penney security guards stopped the family outside Penney's in the parking lot to see whether or not he, I think, and his brother also stole a shirt, and to see what merchandise they had stolen. Now, according to these kids who testified under oath in depositions back in time for the J.C. Penney dispute, they claimed that the guards from J.C. Penney's sexually molested their mother on the concrete, on the parking lot,
Wow.
outside J.C. Penney's, and that they witnessed it. And get this is the twisted part. They actually claimed that the guards of J.C. Penney's twisted their mother's nipples in front of them.
Oh, my God.
Now, how in the world these kids could say this under oath in order to fight, being prosecuted by J.C. Penney's and trying to then turn it around to sue J.C. Penney to get money, extort money, in my opinion, is what they were trying to do out of that company because, quote, their mother was sexually molested in a parking lot in front of them and whoever happened to be driving by and guards. And it's insanity. It's really... it's mind-boggling that these people ever were brought into a courtroom to accuse Michael Jackson, because when you see what the history, and then it turns out that Janet Arvizo claimed she had been beaten and hurt during the J.C. Penney supposed brawl on the parking lot grounds, and that Gavin Arvizo was also hurt during this brawl with the guards from J.C. Penney. And I show photos of this in my book, Michael Jackson Conspiracy, of the bruises on Janet Arvizo and the arm in a sling of Gavin Arvizo. Well, guess what? Those bruises, later we discover, Mesereau was able to pull out on cross-examination, that there was a family abuse going on in that family, that there was a history of abuse by the father in the Arvizo family. So, and these bruises did not appear at the time that the J.C. Penney incident happened, where they were brought into the police station because of the charge of theft, and where they then decided to counteract by trying to sue J.C. Penney. No, there were no bruises on Janet Arvizo then, nor anything with Gavin's arm in a sling. That came weeks later. So, it just was further evidence that these people were willing and able to do anything it took to extract money from people with ill will, I suppose you want to call it, and certainly
Call from 347-587-1745. Call from 347-587-1745.
True. Most pedophiles will have around about 100 to 200 pedophiles, according if you read the police deal with the pedophiles. In fact, they only had one kid early in 2004. This is according to 2020. That's why they couldn't get Jerry Sandusky, because they only had one kid. So it would be one
Call from restricted number. 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 Call from
take Jerry Sandusky down. But this DA, Tom Sneddon, with flimsy evidence and all these lies, pinned his hopes on these people.
He did, because he was after Michael Jackson ever since the Jordy Chandler settlement. And he actually went outside the country. Mesereau reminded me of this many times in my interviews with him for the book, that Tom Sneddon actually went to Australia, went to other countries around the world, looking for people who would say they had been a victim of Michael Jackson. That's what kind of a vendetta Tom Sneddon had against Jackson, to the point that he even was able to create a statute in the state of California which would allow previous acts or allegations into trial. And that is why there were some other boys who testified that they were allegedly tickled by Michael Jackson. And that was all because Tom Sneddon actually put a law into effect specifically to prosecute Michael Jackson.
That was basically a Michael Jackson law. And
I think they refer to it as a Jackson law, colloquially.
In good faith, that law would have been okay if he was convicted. All these cases, in spite of settlement, there was no conviction. There was just, one word against the other.
Well, and the truth of the matter is that when you look at who all was given a settlement and what boys actually said something happened, it was the children of the housekeepers, okay? And these children, these housekeepers, were also found out to be people, some of whom were found out to be people who were looking for Jackson's money in other ways. They were looking for payouts. They were looking for whatever they could get out of the association with Michael Jackson. A bunch of employees